Hello viewers, this is Miss Pillai. Today I would be talking about natural immunoboosters. In my previous video, I have been discussing about the history of immunology, how did the immunology came into picture, and how medicines and vaccines were developed out of it. Now, why have took the topic natural immunobooster is the first question to address. Now, the current situation is quite dark, we can say. People lives are stagnated. They can't move out freely due to this deadly virus of corona. And now, as we have confined ourselves at our places, we have difficulties in, we can say, we gain weight due to unhealthy lifestyle and stuff. We eat junking on food. So basically what I am going to talk about today is this will help in increasing or enhancing our natural immunity, and as well fighting the several issues which are faced by the disease. So let's move on to natural immunoboosters topic. But before talking about this, I would like to share some information regarding coronavirus. What exactly is coronavirus? What is the structure? What is the symptoms and the timeline? Let's move on to that. What is COVID 19? Let's understand what exactly is COVID 19. Here I have displayed the classification of this disease, like what order does it belong to. Let's see it. It is belonging to order Nidovirales, family Coronaviridae, subfamily Coronavirinae and Torovirinae. Here are the 7 genuses. You can see alpha, beta, gamma and delta coronavirus, torovirus and Bafini virus. Here you can see the 7 of them are mild, out of which 3 are severe. The severe ones are caused by alpha coronavirus, that is type 1, and here we can say that the diseases which are being caused are SARS-CoV-1 and MERS and SARS-CoV-2, that is coronavirus disease number 19. Let's understand the structure of COVID 19. Here I have displayed a structure, image of the structure. Let's understand what exactly it is. Here they pointed out from this diagram is spike glycoprotein. It is responsible for receptor binding and membrane fusion, targeted by host neutralizing antibodies. It's quite difficult to understand. Let me simplify this. The spike protein, basically, the characteristics of spike proteins are it activates the virus capsid protein, and it is single stranded enveloped RNA. So, what happens here is the spike protein goes and binds to ACE2 receptor. What exactly is ACE2 receptor? ACE2 receptor means angiotensin converting enzyme number second. The second is in numeral, Roman numeral, and the ACE2 receptor is quite ubiquitous in our body. It is expressed all over the body in major organs such as lungs, heart, blood vessels, kidneys, and liver. What happens here is this spike protein goes and binds to ACE2 receptor. This cleaves the site on proteins, pulls virus close to cells, and thus fusion takes place. Then, as I mentioned, what I will give one example here. Like when the spike proteins and goes and binds to ACE2 receptor, as I mentioned, it expressed across the body. And when it is expressed across the body, as I mentioned earlier, it also affects the lungs, as the lungs plays a major role in respiration, thus leading to the excessive cold, and thus the disease spreads like wildfire. Now let's move on to next part, that is envelope protein. Envelope protein is basically important for viral infectivity on host organism. Next is matrix. Matrix is the most abundant structural protein. It interacts with enzyme to form viral envelope. The envelope is formed with the help of matrix, and the envelope protein is important for viral replication. It goes inside, it enters the host organism, and it multiplies in numbers, and thus occupying the host organism, leading to chain of different issues that comes up on host organism. Let's understand what SARS-CoV-2, that is coronavirus disease, is of. It is positive single-stranded RNA. It is approximately 30 kilobase pairs and it is non-segmented. Let's move on to the next slide, that is timeline. When this all chain of events happened. On December 2019, pneumonia of unknown origin was reported in China. The pneumonia, they didn't know what happened. The pneumonia was spreading and they didn't understand what exactly is happening with them. And then it got, we can say the origin was not being able to trace. Now after that, on it was around spring breaks, I think. On January 2020, causative virus was isolated and characterized. The virus which was causing this unknown pneumonia was isolated and it was characterized. On January 30th, WHO, that is World Health Organization, declared it as an international public concern as the disease was spreading like wildfire. Thus, the WHO declared it as an international public health concern. February 11, the naming of NCOV to COVID 19 took place. What does NCOV means? N means novel. Novel means something new. As the strain of virus was completely new to the population, thus it was termed as NCOV in the earlier days. But later it was renamed to COVID 19, that is COVID 19, which is called as coronavirus disease number 19. On March the 13th, WHO declared COVID 19 as pandemic. This term, pandemic, will bring fears in thousands of hearts. Pandemic is the word which should be used very carefully. Thus, the WHO said declared COVID 19 as a pandemic because it was spreading like wildfire in different countries and number of cases is going on increasing day by day. So let's move on to the symptoms of this disease. What happens? Some cold, cough, fever, headache, and respiratory issues. Let's move on how to tackle such things. Even though we get normal cold and cough, thousands of eyes are panned on us nowadays due to the terror of COVID 19. So, what we can do to make sure that we live a healthy lifestyle, we don't get affected easily by any form of viruses or bacteria or any form of pathogen. Let's understand that. Here I have searched about few herbs which could help us increase our immunity. These are as follows. First first plant I would be talking about is Erythrina variegata. Its vernacular tongue it is called as Kalyana Murungai, as I have mentioned here. In Tamil it is called Kalyana Murungai. Let's understand what it is effective against. It has several advantages such as it aids digestion, gets rid of intestinal worm, regulates menstruation, and it is a leguminaceae, helps the atmospheric nitrogen to be fixed. These are some advantages of this herb, thus giving us the active source of nitrogen for metabolic activities in our body. So let's understand how we can consume it. We have to use parboiled rice, soak it in water, then we have to remove water, clean the thorns in the leaves. As these leaves possess several thorns, we have to clean the thorns and add the leaves in soaked rice, and then we have to grind it, and we have to add adequate amount of rock salt. Why here we are using rock salt is not a refined salt, so it contains phytonutrients and many other micronutrients. Thus, by adding this, it increases the source for phytonutrients. And then pepper and cumin should be added in powdered form in this mixture, and we have to make it in a form of batter, and then we have to consume it by preparing a pancake. Thus, this helps in clearing cold and cough. The cold and cough, excessive mucus secretion is inhibited and excreted via feces. This would be helpful in clearing cold and cough. Next plant which I am going to talk about is Soladum xanthocarpum. That is, in vernacular tongue, it is called as Kandankatri. All the part all the parts of this plant is useful. Let's understand how. Here, we can directly use the leaves of Solanum xanthocarpum and we can fry it in ghee and consume it, which is effective against cold and cough. The other significance are it is an active antioxidant, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, and anti-proliferative. There are several advantages for this. Let's understand how we can intake it in a form of food. We have to take moong dal, that is petite lentils, along with the leaves of Solanum xanthocarpum. This should be um, this should be baked before consuming it. We have to saute the cumin, mustard, and onion, and along with the rock salt and chili powder. Here, cumin and mustard helps in increasing body's basic metabolism, and thus by mixing everything, we can make a pancake and we can consume it. This will basically help in clearing cold. And the fruit of this plant, when we directly burn it and when the fumes are being given out, when we open our mouth and intake that fumes through our mouth, this will also help in clearing dental issues. So every part of this plant is very useful, and this is native to Indian subcontinent. So potions using Solanum xanthocarpum, let's understand how to make potion out of it. Now here I have mentioned on three herbs here. What is this three herbs which I am talking about? Is Solanum xanthocarpum, that is in vernacular tongue it is called Kandangatri. Solanum trilobatum is called Tuduvelai. Plicanthus abominaceus is called Omavalli. Let's understand the significance of each plant. Solanum xanthocarpum, as I mentioned earlier, it has several uh, advantages and medicinal uses. Let's talk about Solanum trilobatum. Solanum trilobatum, is vernacular tongue, it is called Tuduvelai. That is in Tamil, it is called Tuduvelai. The use of this herb is it contains triterpenoids, saponin, and solasodine, which are antibacterial as well, and it is antiviral, antioxidants, anti-cancer, and anti-inflammatory. Now let's talk about Plicanthus abominaceus, Omavalli. Omavalli is native to African and Indian. It is basically native to Indian subcontinent as well as in Africa. We can find it in Africa, and then we can use cumin and pepper. Basically, this increases body's metabolism. Tulsi. Tulsi is very famous in India as it is worshipped everywhere in Hindu religion, and we can see it is antiseptic and it is active source for vitamin A and magnesium. When we boil all these herbs, when we add and boil it, what happens here is the solution gets saturated, and once the solution gets saturated we have to filter it. When we filter it, the filtrate should be consumed for 7 days or till the issue sorts out. This helps in clearing cold and cough and effective against fever as well. So let's move on to next herb, that is Osimum bacillium lamiaceae, that is Tirunitru Pachalai in vernacular tongue. Let's understand what is the significance of this plant. Here it is, let's understand how to use this plant. Leaves of Osimum bacillium lamiaceae, we have to grind it very nicely by adding minimal water so that it takes the form of paste. And this paste, when we apply it in our forehead, this will basically help in clearing out hydrocephalia, that is water which is stagnated in your head region, that will lead to curing of headache and migraine issues as well. Now, next is role of dried roots. Zinziberg officinal, that is dried ginger, and Alpina galanga, that is chittaratai. These play an important role in spices for several foods, as Indian cuisine comprises of several spices. Let's understand the medicinal value of this dried roots. Here what we can do is we have to take this Alpina galanga, that is chittaratai, and Zingiber officinal, that is dried ginger. We have to crush it along with clove. The crown part should be excluded. Clove is useful for clearing out cold. And here cumin and pepper, again we have to powder it and then we have to add it in the boiling water. We have to make sure the solution becomes saturated. Here I have mentioned the lump sugar which has been extracted from palm. The base, why to use lump sugar? It is a natural sweetener, so the metabolism of the sugar is quite simple to be broken down into. And the second main issue, main advantage is this: it is a natural source without any additives like white sugar, or no refining is done, thus we get phytonutrients out of it. Hence we add this, it sweetens the solution a bit, and thus when the solution becomes saturated we have to filter it. The filter is consumed accordingly only on nights. This will help to clear cold, cough and other issues, and even constipation as well. Let's understand. Presumptive analysis is hypothesis. When we know that this herb will work out for such issues, we can make presumptions, and analysis can be done by you actually consuming it. And we can hypothesize, like we can find out the outcome out of that. Here I have used turmeric. Turmeric in native tongue we can call it as virali manjai. This has several advantages, such as it inhibits viral replication in body, it is antibacterial, and it has several uses. When we add this in a glass of milk, that is, uh, milk is an active source for calcium, it makes our bones strong. And along with the palm sugar is a natural sweetener, so anybody could intake that. When we mix all this and drink, consume it every day instead of going for conventional drinks which are promising several things. Rather than going for that, when we use the natural remedy, it is always works out well, and thus it inhibits cold and cough. So I hope you all enjoyed and understood what natural way we can we can increase our immunity. And my resources are healthline.com, yogisherb.com, rxlist.com, medgrave online, the conversation and foodntv.com. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all understand the quality, and I hope you all stay healthy and happy and survive the situation strongly. Thank you so much.